I want you to know that I'm signing now, as we speak, Israel's official recognition of Somaliland and its right of self-determination.
Hello everyone, welcome to the IR special session. I welcome you all of you on behalf of the New Academy in this session. Today we would discuss Israel's recognition to Somaliland, an important development in IR which has got certain consequences to IR norms, international norms, as well as geopolitical consequences. Let us first try to understand what has happened exactly. Israel became the first United Nations member state to formally recognize the Republic of Somaliland as an independent sovereign state. So far, no country has done this, and there has been a sort of autonomous land within Somalia, which has emerged as a Republic of Somaliland. And for the first time, this recognition has been given by a member of UN. A joint declaration signed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Somaliland President Abdurrahman Mohammed Abdullahi. That joint statement includes a couple of things. One, establishing full diplomatic relations, number one. Number two, cooperation across different sectors in which Israel is conventionally strong, that is economic, agriculture, technological, and security sectors. This has got a lot of implications, normative as well as geopolitical implications. Let us try to understand why Israel did so. Israeli leaders have tried to present their point of view by saying that this move was inspired by spirit of Abraham Accords. We know Abraham Accords are a set of accords which in a way build Israel's relations with Arab countries, which were having adversarial relations with Israel earlier. So it's more about normalizing the relations. So Israel has now included Somaliland, not Somalia as such, Somaliland, into the spirit of Abraham Accords. That's Israel's point of view. But this move has triggered widespread controversy. Somalia and African Union rejected the move as violation of Somali sovereignty. So you are recognizing a part of recognized country as a separate state. That's sort of an intervention into Somalia's sovereignty. Plus, African Union has got a stated objective that the colonial era boundaries should not be disturbed, should not be changed. So it goes against the objective of African Union as well. Egypt, Turkey and other regional actors warned of destabilizing effects. United States, some US officials expressing caution. These are some important responses. The countries which belong to this region have warned of destabilizing effects. It is going to change the entire geostrategic, geopolitical equation around the Horn of Africa, and that is why they're concerned about it. US has exercised caution because there's a simple reason. Israel has been a long-standing ally of US. Now, this is a breakthrough recognition because we need to understand two things here. One, no other country has done this. That is one, because it's sort of exceptional kind of step taken by Israel. No other UN member country has done this. Secondly, as I said, the geopolitics around Horn of Africa, right? A major pivot in Horn of Africa geopolitics with far-reaching implications for regional alliances, Red Sea security, counter-terrorism cooperation, international law of statehood, broader strategic competition among global powers. The students of PSIR can think on this line: regional systemic level or global systemic level, right? So this global systemic level covers this factor, the broader strategic competition among global powers such as US, China, Russia for that matter. That is one consequence. Second consequence is for the region around Red Sea security, counter-terrorism cooperation that may get impacted, and even regional alliances. And this is normative aspect. This is normative aspect. The norm of statehood, and which is based on territorial sovereignty, is getting broken in a way. Why Israel recognize Somaliland? Whatever Israel says, that is their viewpoint, that we are following the spirit of Abraham Accord. But what were the reasons, compelling reasons for Israel to go for this kind of a move? Let us try and understand that. First, strategic interest and Red Sea geopolitics. Israel is reading this part, and based on that, they are looking forward to this move, right? It's not about Abraham Accords as such. That is something that they have put forth as a sort of benign kind of a reason to justify their move. But at the regional systemic level, right, this factor is important. Strategic interest of Israel and the Red Sea geopolitics in general. Geostrategic positioning around key maritime routes. That's the interest that Israel has got here, right? Maritime routes and their security has become very important for every country. And Israel seeks to secure that by creating a geopolitical position in the Horn of Africa. Gulf of Aden and proximity to the Bab el Mandeb Strait, a strategic choke point rather, linking the Red Sea with Indian Ocean. We need to understand this. A similar kind of stuff can be seen, similar kind of concern can be seen when we talk about the Malacca dilemma of China. China has got a lot of stake in the Malacca Strait because more than 80% Chinese trade passes through Malacca Strait. That is called Malacca dilemma of China. They want to secure that route. Similarly here, Gulf of Aden and proximity to Bab el Mandeb Strait, a strategic choke point linking Red Sea with the Indian Ocean. So that area they want to secure, right? Valuable for maritime security, right? Trade flow monitoring and military logistics. So all purposes are being served. Maritime security, trade flow, and even military logistics ka movement. So all these things are beneficial from the point of view of Israel. Context of Red Sea security. What is it? Houthi-linked attacks on international shipping tied to broader Middle Eastern conflict. There are two aspects here. One, something that we talked about, counter-terrorism cooperation, right? And this is the major concern there. Second, this is linked to Middle Eastern conflicts. And Israel is very much part of Middle East. And that is why they have a stake in this region. Then, security cooperation and counter-terrorism. We have mentioned that in a way, right? Security cooperation and counter-terrorism. Somaliland's relative internal stability compared to Somalia. Somaliland's relative internal stability and local counter-terrorism efforts contrast with broader instability in Somalia and adjacent regions. So that makes Israel look for Somaliland, which is much more cohesive, much more stable region for counter-terrorism efforts, in which Somaliland people whether to call them regime or not, that's something which can be debated. But the governing body there is more concerted in their efforts to counter-terrorism as compared to more divided Somalia as a country, right? That is another factor which pushed Israel to recognize Somaliland. So we talked about a couple of factors. Third is this one, diplomatic positioning after Abraham Accords. So obviously that is also a factor, diplomatic positioning after Abraham Accords, right? So strategic interest, Red Sea geopolitics, security cooperation, counterterrorism, diplomatic position after Abraham Accords. And we have talked about that briefly once again. A diplomatic agenda aimed at expanding Israel's ties beyond Middle East. Abraham Accords built ties of Israel with the Middle Eastern countries. Now they want to extend Abraham's spirit beyond Middle East. And as part of it, they recognize Somaliland. Domestic political factors are also important within Israel, and PSIR students can cite this aspect. Those three levels of analysis, systemic, national, and leadership level. So national level of analysis, if that is performed, we can see that there are domestic factors within the Israeli politics. What is that? Symbolic foreign policy achievements can be leveraged by political leaders for internal legitimacy and to signal strategic autonomy. Many times political leaders do something outside in order to seek legitimacy within. So if I present myself as a strong leader who has got independent voice on international problems, I win hearts at the domestic level and I can win the elections. That is another factor coming in, right, at the national level of analysis. Okay, now consequences. We talked about what was the Israel's rationale behind recognizing Somaliland? We talked about what were the real factors which pushed Israel to go for it. Let us now try to understand what consequences this development holds as far as region is concerned, as far as the global geopolitics is concerned, right? First, Somalia's internal politics faces obviously exacerbated strain and strengthens separatist momentum elements within Somaliland, complicates national reconciliation efforts, right? Again, national level of analysis, it is that factor. We need to understand this. Somaliland, from the perspective of Somalia, is a separatist movement. By recognizing it, Israel is strengthening it and thereby rendering the entire project of national consensus or reconciliation all the more difficult, right? Number two, this is for Somalia, consequences for Somalia. Number two, regional stability and conflict dynamics. Again, regional systemic level. What all things do we see at this level? Regional stability and conflict dynamics. It may inflame tensions in the Horn of Africa. The entire region may become unstable and we may see some kind of intensified tensions, conflicts in the region. May provide leverage for regional powers to exploit divisions. The moment a state is destabilized, the surrounding powers try to find their own ground and try to derive their own benefits. It may encourage other separatist movements elsewhere. Once a country supports a separatist movement, others may also get that hope, maybe from other countries, not just Israel for that matter. It sets a disturbing precedent and thereby igniting other separatist movements in different countries, right? Challenging AU's foundational principle, I have mentioned this, that is preserving colonial era borders. African Union as an organization has an objective in front of it, aim rather, to preserve the boundaries and thereby not to destabilize the African continent, not to allow African continent to get into instability, right? And that is why they want to preserve colonial era borders. So it goes against this principle. Israel's act goes against AU's foundational principle. Then consequences at this level, Red Sea security and great power competition. Again, regional, this is a regional systemic level analysis. This is global systemic level analysis, right? Somaliland could serve as a platform for expanded foreign military engagement. Already different countries are looking forward to this. We know the example of Djibouti, military base of China, right? So likewise, in the same area, this region, Somaliland, could be used by Israel in future for military purposes as well, right? Israel's presence, if consolidated in future, alters the balance of power in the Red Sea corridor to its favor. So now adversaries of Israel may try to reverse it. That may lead to at least tensions and at worst conflict. Red Sea corridor, kya hai? What is it? A zone already contested amid different global and regional powers. US, UAE, United Arab Emirates, Chinese power and Russian power. They have been competing in that region and now there is one more entrant, Israel, right? It is strategically placed because ports like Berbera are not only commercial gateways, but they have potential naval staging grounds. So that may emerge an important military port for global powers as well as regional players. So Israel indeed has intensified this kind of geopolitics in the Horn of Africa. Israel's unilateral recognition risks reshaping norms around state sovereignty in capitals, weighing border strategic competition and alignment. So we need to understand this. This has got the normative aspect. The statement has got the normative aspect. The norms of sovereignty, the norms of different capitals respecting each other's internal autonomy, independence, these things are being disturbed by Israel now. And different capitals, different countries now would weigh in. They would try to have their own stake in Somaliland and the surrounding region. So sidelining norms to pursue what is required, right, instead of what ought to be. So now what would come as part of Israel's recognition is other countries coming in with their own interest at stake, right? So nobody would talk about what ought to be. We ought to support the international norms. That takes a backseat. And now this becomes important. And this has been highlighted by strategic realism. Thomas Schelling very clearly says that countries should be focused on what is and what is required. So that would become an important guiding light for different countries in terms of their foreign policy towards this aspect, this region rather, right? Another consequence, diplomatic isolation or realignment. What is going to happen? There are two possibilities. The move may further isolate Israel within parts of Arab and Muslim world, and that is not very good kind of sign. That doesn't augur well, because it has taken a lot of years to have some kind of relation between Arab countries and Israel that has created a certain level of comfort there. If they again go back to the old positions of enmity, probably we may see much more unstable Middle East, right? It may attract new partnerships in Africa among states willing to engage with Somaliland for economic strategic reasons. So in a way, Israel has opened the doors now by recognizing Somaliland. Others may follow, and that may intensify the competition in Horn of Africa, right? Let us conclude this entire discussion now, concluding remarks. It is a strategic gamble, no doubt about that, right? It's a gamble. Nobody has recognized Somaliland so far, a sort of internal region within a sovereign state, right? So it has been a gamble, strategic gamble, which has got far-reaching ripples. We talked about that. And those ripples will be there in the region of Red Sea, in the region of Horn of Africa, in the Middle Eastern region, and at the global level as well. So global geopolitics, regional geopolitics, and there are consequences at the national level for Somaliland, right? It opens a new chapter for Somaliland's international status. Now Somaliland has got one member of UNO recognizing their statehood. It has got now a different kind of opening here. It is coming out of international isolation. Rather, there is no question of isolation. It was not recognized in the first place. The first recognition coming in Somaliland's way may open doors for their international status. Immediate consequences. Intensified diplomatic conflict with Somalia and African bodies, because Somalia, and for that matter any other country, would not really like this kind of intervention in their domestic affairs. And I'm repeating this now for the third time. African Union has got a stated objective that colonial era boundaries should not be changed, and thereby Africa should not be destabilized. It goes against it. So for Somalia and African Union, this is something which is a disturbing kind of trend, right? So it may intensify diplomatic conflict of Israel with these two. Pressure on African unity principles, I have talked about that, and emergence of Horn of Africa as more contested arena in global geopolitical conflict. Already it is contested, right? Already it is contested, and now it becomes all the more contested kind of a region because of the new competition with the rise of Somaliland as a region recognized by at least one UN member country. That's it for now. Thank you.